tell us a little bit more about what it has led you to, about your project, what you're doing, what you're focusing on, both in terms of your advisory work as well as in terms of your research and teaching.
In teaching, since this year, I've been asking my students to develop a chatbot for cross-cultural negotiation. And some of the works and some of the projects have been amazing, incredible. So I think it's a good way for them to learn more about the concepts and the theory behind cross-cultural negotiation, but also to apply it. And today, I think having AI literacy is fundamental. And this is my starting point in class. We are quite free in our university to use AI and to develop tools with AI. In my advisory, I'm both with sales and procurement teams, I'm helping them to prepare better for negotiation in more efficient way, getting also better results. So I have a workflow of different agents that combined, for example, for a sales team, provide a value proposition that is linked to a negotiator, that is linked to a LinkedIn profiler, and then at the end provides a report for the sales rep before a meeting. And the same we can do it for procurement.
That's absolutely amazing. And I've already praised this idea in our previous conversation. Let me do it again here in front of our audience, viewers and listeners, because it makes a salesperson or a procurement person much smarter. But you're also a researcher, Yadvinder. Yes, I read your paper recently, the one you published on joint on benefits of adding AI to negotiations, and would like you to summarize very briefly for our audience the results of your research that you conducted among over 120 executives with or without AI support. What happened with? What happened without?
What happens with is that if only one of the parties uses large language models at the time, because I was not able yet to develop agents, so I use large language models. At the time was only ChatGPT. LLM assistance provides really a lot of competitive advantage. If only one of the two parties used the LLM, they achieved better outcomes. Buyers gained 48% better than sellers, and sellers, if they used LLM, gained 40% better than their buyer's counterpart. But I think the result is also very important for integrative outcomes, because if you think about both parties using LLMs, they achieve 84% better outcomes than the parties not using, compared to the parties not using LLMs. And this is achieved even in low trust settings. Why? Because they can explore in parallel integrative solutions with LLM and then come to the table and discuss them without having to exchange too much information. So it is very interesting, because if both parties use LLM, there is more joint value, but it also more fairness during the negotiation. So it really helps to have more integrative negotiations. LLM can be an enabler for integrative negotiations, according to the study.
That's super interesting, Yadvinder. Maybe let's dive into the mechanics or the logic behind this process. Yes. So why is that the case that using LLMs gets us more individually, but at the same time also, if it's symmetric, if it's applied symmetrically, it also leads to creating more value? What is the mechanism that is at work?
This is something that has to be explored much deeper, but my theory is the following. That according to traditional negotiation theory, in order to have integrative negotiations, you have to build trust, exchange information, and then you understand the interests of the other party, you come up with creative options. In this case, when both parties use LLM, they don't need to exchange information. they don't need to build trust in advance, but because they use LLM to prepare for the negotiation, they already explored the different scenarios. And they already have creative options that can be of value for other party. And when they come to the table, that creates a symmetry of knowledge that allows to have better outcomes, integrative outcomes, even if there is no trust between the parties, because you don't need to exchange information. In fact, there are higher joint gains, even though there is reduced exchange of information when there is symmetric use of large language models. So the theory is maybe you don't need to exchange information anymore because you already did that with your large language model during the preparation phase.
Are joint gains the ultimate goal of a negotiator? So in other words, yes, it's nice that using LLMs help us get to the center of the Pareto efficiency frontier, or the midpoint of the efficiency frontier. But the question is that where we want to get? What do you think?
I don't know if it is where we want to get, but for sure, what studies are telling us more and more is that if you don't use AI support, then you will gain less than the other party. That's for sure. But I like the fact that you can have integrative negotiations even if you don't establish trust earlier. Because most of the negotiations happen in a low trust setting. So I think this is very, very important because it allows us to have more integrative negotiations, even in low trust settings. I think this is very, very important. But also, what I found in this research that is still going on is that there is also increased fairness during the negotiation process. If both the parties know that the other party is using AI, there is less deception, there is more transparency, and this leads to better outcomes at the end for both of them. Is this something we want? I think I like the fact that there is more transparency and more fairness in the negotiation. This is for sure.
But coming back to your question, do I think AI can build trust? I think your study shows that it can. Yes, and I think even if it doesn't understand what trust is in terms of the feeling, in terms of the confidence, the belief, right? It still can decode the components of trust building, and I think it can, and it does use those components, such as, for example, transparency in information sharing, or high levels of transparency in information sharing, such as kindness, such as other elements that we typically associate with trustworthy individuals or agents. Yes, in that particular case. So yes, I think trust building is nothing inherently reserved for humans only. I think it can be engineered as well. Yes, once we've understood a creation or development of a certain phenomenon, once we've understood the factors that influence it, we can build machines. Usually, we can build machines that can do the same or similar.